Welcome to the Gospel according to Kinison. It's the time everybody waits for on Sunday. The Gospel according to Kinison. I am your host, your illustrious host, Bill Kinison, and I want to welcome you to our program. If this is the first time that you've watched us, I'll ask you to do something that I used to ask frequently, but then I forget about it. And that is, why I want you for just 30 minutes to lay down the foundations of your belief and listen to what we say. That's all. And then if you don't like what we say, you don't have to listen again. But it will not fit ordinarily into what your foundations of belief is. God bless every one of you. So happy to be here this morning. And we've got a few folks that we want to pray for. One is Maui Matos that watches our program, and he's got some personal issues. He wants us to remember him in prayer, that he makes the right decisions. So we want to do that. Also, Brenda Brubaker. Sure, you have to help me on the cancer.
Endometrial.
And that's what celebrity did you say had that?
Fran Dresser.
And but we're praying. It's in the early stages. We're praying for a complete recovery for Brenda. And then, Misty Soper is in jail. She can watch us. She cannot comment. You know what I think is kind of funny? Is that all of these, far leftists and whatever you want to call them, they're wanting to let criminals out of jail. Facebook just keeps putting them into their jail. Not criminals, but put good people into their jail. Anyhow, she wanted me to know that, so we're going to pray that somehow God will give Misty a prison break out of Facebook jail. I guess we have been there momentarily for a day or two. I think for like 2 days one time. They put me in jail. I still don't even know what it was for. Yeah, I do. I remember now. I referred to a picture of a good friend of mine of his grandson. And I said he was a good-looking boy. So for 2 days, they put me in jail, removed that post, and removed his entire post, and that I had made a difference in genders. And you can't do that. Now, then, whatever. Sometimes you just get sick of it.
Good morning. Phoenix Benjamin was the first person
Phoenix
on.
Benjamin, you know what I'd love to have? I'd love to have a tattoo from Phoenix. Because he puts pictures of them on and everything. And I'd love to have a tattoo by Phoenix. Maybe someday I will.
Anthony Golden, good morning. Diana Lee, good morning.
Well, Anthony and Diana.
Jan Grinwald is watching.
All right, Jan. Glad to have all of you on board. God heal Sherry's eyesight.
Calvin Hood is watching.
All right, Calvin.
Don Moore, and I bet you and Cheryl are out there in the middle of an ocean watching. Jeff McLaughlin, good morning.
All right. Boy, you're just ripping them off now.
Well, they come so fast.
All right. Well, that's because they're getting on. They want to see what we have for them today. And we have some good stuff. I'm ready to get into it.
Go ahead.
My father, when I was a little boy and a teenager, probably more in the teens when I would understand it, I had a very, very wise father. And I've said many times on here, he was my idol. He and Sherry's father, my father-in-law, J.R. McFadden, two of the best preachers and best men I ever met in my life. But my dad used to have a saying. He had a bunch of them, and most of the time I didn't even know what they meant. And but I do know what this one means now. I didn't know at the time. And he used to say, strength is wasted on the youth. Have you heard that one before, Sherry? Strength is wasted on the youth. And I never understood it, but now that I'm in my later years, I totally understand it. Now when you start understanding how things are supposed to be, you don't have the strength to do it. And that's what he was telling us. And if the young folks would just listen, in most religions, especially the American natives, they treasure their elders. and because they feel like that they have wisdom. And I think all civilizations and religions ought to take that up.
Good morning, Mary Zastro.
I never should have picked up that drink. And good morning to Mary. And that wonderful man that she's with.
Yes.
I love their pictures. And I love Mary. Anyway, she knows that.
Phyllis Davis, good morning.
Phyllis Davis.
Valerie Jasso.
Valerie. Love Valerie and her walks of wonder.
Jeff McLaughlin says, free Misty Soper.
You know, I think Jeff knows a little bit something about being in Facebook jail, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Good morning, Lawrence Greenblatt.
Lawrence, Larry Green, Melrose Larry Green.
Yes.
I've known him from, I guess it's been 40 years. 40 years I've known him. He has his own podcast or radio broadcast or whatever that he broadcasts. It's good to have him on this morning. Good to say hello to him. I want to. Oh, you look like you're still...
Misty Soper is watching.
She can watch. She cannot say anything. They have, much like the national media, they have put a gag in her mouth. I want to teach a little bit this morning on live in the present. Not the past or the future. Live in the present. Ironically, I studied this message, I think it was on our lesson, I think it was on Wednesday. And all of a sudden I started getting these, Sharon and I getting requests to counsel on personal relationships. And I thought that's kind of ironic. So we're going to teach on it. You see, because of our circumstances, a lot of you are disappointed and you don't know what to do. Because we let our circumstances imprison us. You can rant and rave all you want that life has not been fair to you and do nothing. That's your prerogative. You can sit and complain how bad things are, and then if you want, you can sit and do nothing and nothing's going to change. But if you do that, it will not improve your circumstance. And it will not bring you peace of mind. If you really want to change your circumstances, and most of us would have to say, yeah, we would. If you really want to change your circumstances, then you must have a change in your inner nature. It comes from within. Then according to what I call the law of attraction, that's not just me, a lot of people understand the law of attraction. You will attract the people and the environments that you long for. The people that you have in your life. Let me put this very, very plainly, and I don't want to be mean. But the people that you have in your life, you have drawn those people into your life, good or bad. And it's been by the thinking of, and by the circumstances and the way you're reacting and changing or accepting those circumstances. How do you accomplish a change in the human nature? It's easy to say. How do you do that? Well, first, I want you to realize this. On your journey to change the inner nature, remember this. Realize this. The past is over. The past is over. It is only the present in which we must be concerned. A lot of us, if something goes wrong, we immediately go to the past. Well, I'm not going to be treated like that. I'm not going to be treated like this. You immediately go to the past. But it's only in the present that you ought to be concerned with the right now. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. It's just today. It is our own actions we should be concerned about. And instead of what others have done to us, think about what your reaction to them is going to be. My mother, good example. Good example of what I'm talking about. My mother was a victim of a home burglary, and she could not get over it. Someone had broken into her house, found their floor safe, stole all the cash that they had, and she could not get over it. She literally had a nervous breakdown. After a while, I was there in Tulsa and I told her. And I told her that every day that she hung on to the hatred and to the bitterness, she was letting those people rob her over and over. Now, listen to that again. I told my mother, who had a good reason to be bitter and angry, but I told her that every day that she hung on to that hatred, that she hung on to that bitterness, she was letting them rob her every day, day after day after day, because that's where she was living. That's where she was staying, was in that attitude. There's an old saying, by the yard, life is hard. By the inch, it's a cinch. Sometimes, when life seems to be almost too much to bear, I want you to ask yourself this question. Am I carrying around with me the burden of the past and the future? Because a lot of times, we allow the past to dictate to us what our future is going to be. Live in the present. Live in the right now. Attaching too much importance to what happened and to what might happen makes it impossible to be happy in the present, folks. Listen to me. Most of us have a tendency to live in the past. For you old folks, now throw me in there. They say, you know you're getting old when you live in the memories, in your memories. And you know what? That's a large part true. Is that you just live in there. You try to live in the good ones. But don't live there. Get up every morning. Put out a new goal every day to attain. Live in the present. Whatever one's past is, it can be neutralized by the thoughts and actions in the present. Some of you go, well, I blame my parents. Okay, you can blame whoever you want. You're in control of right now. I blame my boss. I blame my job. I blame these people. I blame that people. Okay, you can do that. But that past can be neutralized by the thoughts and the actions in the very present time. Live in the present. With this knowledge will come the realization that it is what we do and think in the present that will determine the effects of the past as well as the future. I want to repeat that. It's whatever your thinking and your realization of the present is. Now, listen. This is probably going to be the greatest statement I've made this morning. You have the power to control your fate. You do. No one else. Not Joe Biden, not Donald Trump, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, not our government. You have the power to control your fate. You have the power to control your destiny. You do. If no one agrees with you, you have the power to control your fate and your destiny. If you were to analyze your thinking, you might find that you think things like this: I'll be happy when my children are grown. I'll be happy when I retire. I'll be happy when I have a new home. I'll be happy when my financial condition improves. No thought at all of enjoying each moment as it passes. Enjoy right now. If you enjoy right now, you're going to enjoy tomorrow. If you regret today, if you let all these other outside circumstances decide your fate, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to accomplish anything. When you think of the past, which is probably frequent, usually when we're upset or we're disappointed or we're discouraged, we immediately go back to the past. Well, when you think of the past, you might think of things like, if I only would have accepted the offer, if I only had acted differently at that particular time, if only if I had said no when I said yes, and said yes when I said no, how different my life would be. I remember years ago counseling with a lady, and she says, there's a thought that haunts me. And I go, what's that? And she said, there was this young man that loved me, and I've always thought, and it just stays with me, how would my life have turned out if I'd have married him? And I told her, I said, that's doing nothing but discourage you. It's bringing nothing but disappointments. Live in the right now. Yesterday's gone. That decision was made. Live today and have happiness. What a waste of time to allow life to pass you by because of the regrets of the past. What a waste of time. I don't know any other way to put it. Just a total waste of your time. A brief study of the Bible will reveal something. And it's very interesting. It will reveal that all miracles which took place were accomplished in the now. Think about it. You read the Bible just like I do. Not one time did Jesus say, you'll be healed tomorrow, or you'll be healed next week. I've heard preachers do that when they receive their offering and they pray for sick folks, and they go, God told me that next week he's going to heal you. Well, the preacher will be out of town next week, so he won't have to be there to deal with it. Never did I hear Jesus one time. All of his healings, both spiritual and physically, took place immediately, in the now, in the present. That's what I'm trying to stress to you today. Live in the present. In my opinion, the true gospel should help us become free of fear, free of the fear of death, the fear of old age, the fear of sickness, the fear of the future, or fear of anything at all. That's what the true gospel should be. Now, if you're listening to the gospel of your organization, you're probably not going to feel that way. Matter of fact, when we have things going on in the world like we do right now, that's just perfect for a lot of preachers and a lot of organizations and religions to be able to tell you doom and gloom. That this is all predicted in the Bible and it means he's getting ready to come. Well, I don't particularly share that viewpoint. First, I believe he has come. He's come in me. He's come in you. We were born with him in us. We have lived with the God in us. I'm not waiting for him to show up because he's already here. He's in us now. The important thing is to be mentally ready right now. I want to repeat it. The important thing is to be mentally ready right now, for right now. That's the important thing. You see, if you think your happiness depends on daily circumstances, then you're going to have many disappointments. I've known people that have lived their entire life, and I've done their funeral services, that were never happy. They've actually told me that they had never been happy. Can you imagine living a life that you were never happy? You say, why? They never lived in the present. They thought they did, but they were still letting the past usually dictate their future. See, once you realize that your attitude is what determines your peace, your contentment, and your happiness, then you will be successful in everything you do. I want to give you a good example of this. I want to give you an example of my brother Sam. Sam Kinison, the great comedian, the great stand-up comedian. He preached for 7 years. He was never successful in the ministry. One of the reasons were, well, a couple of the reasons, is he had 2 older brothers. His brother Richard and me. He would try to preach in the same churches that we had held crusades in. The problem is, Sam wasn't as exciting as Richard. I wasn't as exciting as Richard. Richard was the best evangelist I ever seen in my life. He also couldn't preach like I did. He thought preaching was just giving out information, even though I would try to tell him over and over that, like it or not, preaching is entertainment. And if you don't make it entertaining, they're not going to listen to you. And so he lived underneath that. So he never really had a good attitude. Not only that, I think, but only Sam would have known for sure. I think Sam actually got in the ministry because he is named after my father. And as he used to put it, he did the Julian Lennon thing. I got to do it for dear old dad. So I think that because his brothers were preachers, he was named after my dad that was a preacher. He felt like he's supposed to preach. But I think his real love was in comedy. Once his attitude changed, he was successful. That attitude I seen the very first time on a stage doing comedy, he had a different attitude. He was in control. It was him living for right now. It was he that was declaring his destiny. He was the one that was setting forth his fate. Now listen. Once his attitude changed, he was successful in what he had chosen to do, and that was stand-up comedy. Now that can work for every one of you. It can work for every one of you. Where is your attitude? You need to be in a place where your attitude... Okay, Sharon. For y'all don't know what's going on now, she's giving me message notes. And actually, before I give her the credit to think that up, the first time I heard that was from your brother.
I know.
Your attitude...
Your aptitude.
Your aptitude does not determine your altitude, but your attitude. Sure, you want to come around and tell it to, it'd be a lot more effective. Oh, Lord. Bill, live in the present. Just let the past go. Let the past go. I love my wife. I shot way over my head when I married her. But she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. You see, the first place that you have to begin is with an attitude change about yourself. What is your attitude about you? The attitude you have about yourself will prove to be the attitude you hold towards others. Look at those around you. They're a mirror of your attitude you have of yourself. It's not other people doing things to you. It's not other circumstance doing things to you. It's your attitude. If you hold yourself in high esteem, others will hold you in high esteem. I learned that at a very, very, very young age in school. I thought, man, if I don't think anything of myself, no one else is going to think anything of me. What is your image of you today? Not only, and I'm not just going to talk to you spiritually, physically. How are you looking at yourself today? If you're looking at yourself old, you're going to be old. You're going to look old. You're going to act old. You're going to walk old. If you look at yourself sick, guess what? You're going to be sick. Your attitude is what draws the results that you want or don't want to you. You will always be attracted. Oh, listen to this. Man, I give you such good stuff. I'm going to start raising my rates. You will always be attracted to those who are attracted to you. And the reverse is always true, is also true. They will be attracted. You'll be attracted to them. They'll be attracted to you. Once you develop a good opinion of yourself, several changes will take place. The first thing you'll notice is you will become more understanding. Wow. That's a big step for a lot of us. You see, the image you have of yourself determines the types of conditions and circumstances you will attract to you. I am not going to, under any conditions, am I going to look at myself as poor, as weak, as old, as discouraged. I'm not going to do it. I don't care how things look to me. I'm going to look at myself as happy, as well, as youthful. I'm going to derive from my own thinking what I want into my life. It is a law of life that you grow into the likeness of the image you hold in your mind of yourself. That's just a law of life. The way you look at yourself, that's the way everyone else is going to look at you. Last thing I'm going to say is very short. You are what you think. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this time that you've given us. I ask that you illuminate our thinking, that you illuminate the God in us to attain the desires that you put into our heart. I'll give you all the praise. Heal those that need a touch. Give those a blessing that need money. God, those that need happiness and peace. Bring it quickly through them. And I'll give you all the praise. Amen. I love you. Sherry loves you. God loves you. And God bless America.
Valerie Jasso says she takes and writes down notes every week. Thank you.
All right, y'all can hang up. The next 30 minutes are just going to be for Valerie. I love y'all.